Worst cover song ever. I hear literally none of you ask me. Well, it's a tough one that, but I'd have to say probably Smells Like Teen Spirit by Take That. Now I know what you're thinking, Adam, you're only saying that because it's Gary Barlow and he's like the most insipidly boring man who ever lived, and probably on balance one of the worst on planet Earth, and constantly passes himself off as an expert in the music industry despite the fact his own record label is an unmitigated disaster and regularly torpedoes the careers of young musicians while he sits on a panel on the X Factor while it slowly circles the drain. And of course he's always on TV as well doing those charity fundraisers being like, oh, it's really terrible what's happening in this part of the world, please put your hand in your pocket and give generously, while he simultaneously funnels hundreds of millions of pounds into offshore tax havens, so it's never his money that has to go and sort these things out. And of course he's also mates with David Cameron, so as well as being a posh probably also shagged a pig at some point in his life. Nothing to do with any of that, just a bad song.
Right, now, as someone who grew up on terrible cover songs, I don't feel like I can give you an actually bad one by any reasonable, normal metric, because my whole formative stage of life, my growing up, was shaped absolutely and completely by Punk Goes Pop and Punk Goes Crunk. Now, if you haven't heard those albums, bless you, but they're not good. They're not good, but they were my access point to any sort of hip-hop, pop, R&B track that was around at the time, and like hearing those songs makes me think, oh yes, Umbrella by All Time Low. Oh yes, I Wanna Love You, not by Akon and Snoop Dogg, by The Maine. Those are the things that like have stuck with me and are my original version, so I love and appreciate them. So I'm not going to throw those to the wolves. I'm not going to. I'm going to give you something else, because I reached back and wondered where this strange cover song appreciation came from and remembered a very dark time in my life, which was being young and you know, having step CDs, having this and the other, having nice wholesome music around. And there was one album that followed me from CD rack to CD rack, which was the Smurfs Go Pop. Now, if you've heard those Chipmunk covers where it just goes really high-pitched and horrible, like it's a normal song just covered in the Chipmunk style where it's like, it's that, but with the Smurfs. But they also changed the lyrics to match the Smurfs as well. So instead of it being Mr. Bombastic, it's like Mr. Smurftastic, and instead of I Wanna Be by Spice Girls, you've got I Wanna Be a Smurf Star, and it's just, oh my god, it's I remembered it the other day because it just came to me in like a haunted dream that like the Smurfs Go Pop existed, and I'm really sorry if you want to go and research this because it is out there, it is on YouTube, and it's upsetting and really bad, and I'm gonna have to put Mr. Smurftastic at the top as being the worst one if you want a singular answer from me. But Smurfs Go Pop as an album is absolutely the answer at large, because I don't know why it exists. I don't know. And I'm sorry, and I'm laughing so much because I just know what's out there. I know what's out there, I went and had a listen and I know what's out there, and if you go and find it, enjoy. You'll fall down the rabbit hole. I saw someone commenting from like a month ago, so it's still up there and popular. People are still listening to the Smurfs covers of Mr. Smurftastic and I Want to Be a Smurf Star. Enjoy. Enjoy! Don't enjoy, I don't know. Experience. That's all I can say.
So there's only one real answer for this question, and it has to be Jose Feliciano's cover of Every Single Breath You Take by The Police, because holy moly, that is absolutely abysmal for a cover. And the best part is that he's actually covering the song in front of Sting himself. And the entire time you can see Sting's facial reactions, for example, right there. And it's just, he hates it, and it's painful to watch, but he's doing it so bad and yet so good at the same time. It's like pleasing all of the senses. And at one point he rips out a solo, which I don't think he gets any of the notes right, and then he starts singing and he gets the words wrong, and then the lady next to him starts singing. It's actually really, really good, and that kind of ruins how bad the cover is because it adds in a bit of good, and it's just, I want it to be all Jose being very, very bad. He obviously learns it like 2 minutes before he had to perform it live in front of the person who wrote it, and that's just something else in itself. But the problem is, Jose is actually a really, 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 really good performer, and he's an incredible musician. And like his cover of the US national anthem in, I think it's like 1968 or something, while panned at the time, if you listen to it now, it's really, really good. So he is a good performer. But holy moly, he ruins it in front of Sting, and I don't know what he's doing. And I'm so glad that the camera operator focused directly in at Sting the entire time, because you just see his pain and you get to go through his pain live with him. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Sting.
I've heard a lot of bad cover songs. As a rule, most cover songs are quite bad. Because that's how you get talking about them, isn't it? Somebody does something bad to something you already love. Occasionally, there's good ones. It's the exceptions that prove the rule. Like Metallica's Whiskey in a Jar, which has come up on this channel a few times before. But the one that really sticks out for me, in fact, I'm going to mention a couple, just in passing. Avril Lavigne's version of Imagine is absolutely terrible because it does nothing for her voice and it doesn't suit her sort of skater girl demeanour that she had at the time. And on the same sort of thread, that awful pandemic video of celebrities talking Imagine, that counts as an awful cover as well, doesn't it? Because it's just something about film stars wanting to do songs, isn't there? Bruce Willis wanted to be a musician. All of them, apparently, the saying goes that musicians all want to be film stars all want to be rock stars. And very few of them have crossed over. Jared Leto has. He's the only one that counts. But the one that really sticks out is sort of in line with that, and it's not something that was commercially released, but it was very much publicly released, and it was Vin Diesel. It's just, there's no easy way of saying it. Vin Diesel's cover of Rihanna's Stay, which is a beautiful, heartfelt song. And for whatever reason, Vin Diesel, who, if you don't know, is a massive fan of karaoke, released the song to his millions and millions of social media followers and addressed it to his amores, or something like that, as a sort of tribute to his followers on Valentine's Day. Oh, it's very nice, that, isn't it? It's a nice idea. The problem is that Rihanna's voice really goes with this song, Stay. You get loads of emotion in it. It's loaded. It's beautiful. And unfortunately, Vin Diesel's version, because of his deep voice, although, God bless him, he's enthusiastic, it sounds like he's farting in a bassoon underwater. Go and watch it. Prove me wrong.
So the worst cover song I've ever heard, I'm going to have to go into the realm of gaming for this one, because it's the very end of Wolfenstein 2, when you finally finish that game, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, the one that came out in 2017, I think. You get to the end of that game and you're taking the fight to, all the Nazis and everything, taking everybody out, and you do this final bit where, it's this final level, you storm this TV station, you take out the head woman, she's called Irene Engel or something, take her out, and the game lets you do this one final message to everybody else. You get this cutscene where all these rebellious fighters that you're playing as are trying to, rile everybody up and come on, we're going to take America back and everything. Great message, go for it. But that then cuts to black after you've done the message, and one of the worst versions of Twisted Sister's We're Not Gonna Take It plays out. I don't know who the band are that do it, but it's this really wretched, screamy version of it, and I love screamy music. Give me the heaviest things on earth, I will go for it. But it's so badly done and just so badly sung, and I'm not calling out whoever they are, but I had a horrible time. And it's just these vocals, we're not gonna take it, and it's horrible. And like I said, considering the high that game ends on, it's kind of weirdly paced. It peaks earlier on, but to come back around and sort of deliver this we're gonna take back America sort of message, and I absolutely love that game, throughout. It's such a weird beat to end on, such a strained thing. And I guess that somewhere along the way, when they were deciding to do this version, and you couldn't do Twisted Sister's version of it on the credits, but they're still going to go with those lyrics. They just want them delivered in a different way. Somewhere along there, they had to make that decision to be like, we're going to go with a more strained, a more guttural version of that song, and it's assumedly meant to tie in to make it a grassroots movement to take back the country. I don't know. If there's anyone out there who did like that song, please tell me why. That version of that song anyway, please tell me why, because I bounced off that and I just sat in the credits going, oh, why? Let me skip this. This is really bad.
So the worst cover song of all time for me has to be All Saints' cover of Under the Bridge by Red Hot Chili Peppers, because that song itself, the Red Hot Chili Peppers version is just brilliant. It's such a brilliant song, and it was one of my, I mean, I love Red Hot Chili Peppers in general, but Under the Bridge is definitely my favourite song by them. I just think it's brilliant. It's just got such a lovely melody, and the lyrics are fantastic, and the music video is fantastic. And then I recently, and this is what I mean, I've never actually heard this cover until like maybe like a few weeks ago, and I heard it playing, and I remember sitting there thinking, this sounds familiar. Why does this sound familiar? I don't think I've ever heard this song before, and I'd never really heard much by All Saints themselves. And then I clicked and realised, oh my god, they're covering Under the Bridge. And it's just so bad. And not only is it bad that they've turned it into this kind of like poppy kind of hip hop kind of thing, but when they get to the chorus, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's like one of those moments where, you know, when someone like thinks they can sing, not that All Saints can't sing, they definitely can, but that sort of similar reaction when someone thinks they can sing and you're kind of sat there and you're like, oh, yeah, and you're just kind of internally just cringing, and it's painful to listen to. That's what it was like hearing All Saints cover of Under the Bridge. Can they sing? Most definitely. But not when they are covering Under the Bridge. Just don't touch a brilliant song. Don't fix what ain't broke. And it was just awful. It was awful, and I was cringing the most that I think I could ever possibly cringe. It was not good.
Right, so there are absolutely loads and loads of candidates for the worst cover song of all time. On the one hand, you've got Mad World by Gary Jules. On the other, you've got Elton John covering himself while doing an impression of Vic Reeves with I'm Still Standing. But if I had to be truthful, and if I got to the core of what I hate about cover songs, it has to be pretty much every single pop punk cover of a pop song. You know, whether or not it's a one-off or whether it's on one of those albums like Punk Goes Pop or something like that, there is something about that entire subgenre that gets underneath my skin. And I think the crux of this actually goes back to my youth when I was a bit younger and I was well into pop punk, and I made myself think that I wasn't into pop music, and I thought all pop music was bad and that it needed, you know, crappy guitar pop punk chords to make pop music, you know, good and legitimate, otherwise it wasn't worth listening to, which is kind of, it's a dumb take, you know what I mean? Because pop music is awesome and it's fun and you should just listen to it because it's really nice, and you don't need to pretend that it's not cool because, you know, that in itself is not cool. But anyway, I digress. The thing about these covers is that, like, they only add the bare minimum. They're so half-assed, they're so 2-bit, they just add these generic chords to these otherwise great melodies, and nothing has ever been improved by adding generic pop punk chords to it. Nothing on this earth. That's like those are words to live by, if you ask me. And I just think when it comes to all of these tracks, like, the reason deep down that you like them is because the original is good, and these are just kind of inferior versions of it with, you know, a male singer and crappy sounding guitars, and we don't need them. Just listen to the original. It's fine. It's okay. It's really good. It's nice. You can have a good time.